Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the Royals and Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. We end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 96. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we almost didn't record this week because my power went out like around noon. There was like this huge storm that came through.
Yeah, it came through my area at 11. I'm further south than you.
Yeah.
I didn't lose power. I thought I was because the storm was so big and a lot of heavy rain, a lot of wind.
Yeah, it was real windy and it was raining a lot. We didn't get any thunder and lightning though. But they were supposed to restore power like at 4, but they did it right around 2, which is when we record. So that's good. But it threw me all off. Like, it's very weird not having power for a couple hours.
Yeah, even just losing internet for a couple hours really throws me off.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
You were in Germany the last time, like, Virginia had those crazy power outages because of the derecho.
Yes, I was.
We've talked about that, like, on the podcast before, I think.
At some point we talked about it, yeah.
Like, that derecho was insane. Yeah.
It took down a ton of trees, like big swaths of trees and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, there were people in Virginia who lost power for weeks on end. Like, I was pretty lucky. My power came back in, like, 2 or 3 days. But
yeah,
just mass outages and blackouts. It was crazy.
That's rough. Yeah, I don't know how I would deal with that. I'd probably just drive somewhere. So we're going to have an episode next week, on the 18th, and then we'll be off on August 1st. And this episode is going to come out on a Saturday again, just because I'm going to travel this weekend again. And so let us know in the comments for this post, this is episode 96, if you want us to keep releasing on Saturdays or if Sundays is fine. Either is fine for me because I'm usually done by Saturday morning. So we don't publish the post until Mondays, but we'll just see whether we put the podcast out Saturdays or Sundays.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's fine either way.
Yeah, me too. It's like a surprise for people. So how are you doing? How's everything? I see that you're watching tennis.
Yeah, the women's semifinals were today. I only got to see a little bit of it, or recorded everything. Yeah, the women's final, which people will probably be seeing as the podcast comes out, is going to be between Ash Barty and Karolina Pliskova. So an Australian versus a girl from the Czech Republic. And they're both very good.
Okay.
They're great players, so it should be a good final. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
And, like, the big headline this week was that Roger Federer lost in the quarterfinal. And, like, he lost badly. He looked uncomfortable and he looked old.
All our faves are getting old.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to the Fed fans. I don't know if it makes it better or worse for me to say, like, he looked injured. He looked like his body wasn't right. And that's always a bad thing to see. But he seemed okay in the press conference afterwards. So okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I pulled out my back today taking a nap. I seriously, I moved weird in bed, and I'm like, wow, my back hurts. I put some icy hot on it. I work out almost every day, but this is how I pulled my back out.
Yeah, I mean, I threw up my back, and I still don't know how I did it. That was a few years ago. All of a sudden, I was just having, like, back spasms all the time. And now I have 2 cats listening to me record the podcast.
I'll cry for a minute to get some food.
Mm-hmm.
So last week on the podcast, we talked about the big statue unveiling because that was the huge thing. And Kate wasn't there. And there was this back and forth as to why she wasn't going to be there. But it kind of came out that her husband didn't want her there because she pulls focus. At least that's reading between the lines, but it seems to be the truth.
He doesn't want her energy around an event celebrating his mother. He doesn't want Kate, the peacemaker, to be there.
Yeah, she's going to pull focus. So after that, we heard that she was COVID positive.
No, I'll do the timeline for you if you want.
Yeah.
Before the statue unveiling, Kate went out to the Euro quarterfinal with England. So she was out with George and William, and that was Tuesday night. And then Thursday was the statue unveiling. She was not there. Friday, she went to Wimbledon, like early in the match day. And she was there for hours. And then she found out, allegedly, that she had been exposed to COVID while she was at Wimbledon. And they didn't announce it until the following Monday.
And they didn't say if she was exposed at Wimbledon or if she found out at Wimbledon, and they were super sketchy.
Squirrely.
Yeah.
They were very squirrely about where she was exposed, when she found out. It was like pulling teeth to find out that she found out on Friday. Like, no one even asked why Kensington Palace didn't release that information until Monday morning.
And the Mail wrote that Kensington Palace has not revealed where or when exactly the contact was, only saying it was last week.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been writing that you think she got exposed at that, I was going to say soccer, but they call it football game with William and George.
Right, because there have been so many cases of COVID around all of the football matches that have started up. England, they're a lot like America in that there's been a rise in cases, even though there's been such a rise in vaccinations. And it's because all of these big public events like football games are happening right now, and no one is wearing masks.
So if she got exposed at the football game, then Prince William and Prince George also got exposed, and they're second and third in line to the throne. So that would be a big deal, and that might be why they're being weird about it.
Right. Like, that was my initial thought, is she got exposed at the football game or football match. And, like, that's what would make sense for the timeline. If she was exposed around then, she would find out a day or two later. It wouldn't just be like, oh, she's exposed in the morning at Wimbledon and she finds out 3 hours later while she's still at Wimbledon. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, she could have been exposed on the Thursday of the statue unveiling whenever she was doing God knows what, because she wasn't invited.
Yeah.
You know, she might have had a hair appointment.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You wrote she's at her Botox.
Yeah, she might have gone to a Botox top off, you know. You never know. So maybe that's why they're being squirrely about it. But I have a theory that William and George probably were exposed at the same time as Kate, and they're trying to cover that up.
They always cover it up when they have COVID.
Right. Right, because that would be a huge failure of the Boris Johnson government, is if the second and third in line to the throne got exposed to COVID at a football match. You know, that would be terrible for the country.
Yeah. And they're saying Kate is double vaccinated, but given the timeline that they do it in England and the fact that we didn't see her get her second vaccination, it's a little weird, but whatever.
Yeah. All of the vaccination stuff with Will and Kate is super weird.
Yeah.
It, like, the way that he had his first shot and then he immediately went to Scotland and he looked like death warmed over.
He was probably sick from it, or, you know, sick from something else. So we talked about this on Zoom, and this is Karen, Amira, and Tanisha.
Okay, if Kate's quarantined, that would mean her husband would quarantine too, because they were together. I mean, clearly they're not together if she's the only one quarantined.
And they're claiming that she's fully vaccinated, but how? Because the way that the rollout is happening in the UK, she would have only have gotten one dose. So either she got a dose and she jumped ahead in the line, or they're lying and she only has one dose.
It's so glaringly obvious that they don't live together because, you know, he's still going out with no mask and still doing stuff. So he probably only got his one shot as well.
And she's looking for a house by her parents.
So yeah, it kind of shows that Will and Kate aren't living together. If Kate has to quarantine, but Will doesn't have to. I mean, if he was sleeping in the same bed with her, he would have to, right?
Right. And that was the same issue last year when he had COVID.
Yeah.
And they were so squirrely about that too. We didn't find out until 6 months later. They tried to make him sound like a brave He-Man because he survived COVID. And like no one was supposed to ask, so did Kate ever test positive as well? And was she the one taking care of you? Or, what was it?
Yeah.
What was the situation? But yeah, they've
Sketchy.
been living separately for
For a
the
while.
better part of a year.
I mean,
would
if I
say
was
longer.
rich, I'd probably have my own bedroom and my own bathroom and stuff, but I'd still be getting nookie,
Well, well, you like the bald ones, but William, gross.
If you're with somebody, you might as well have sex. But what I'm saying is it's annoying to sleep with them in the same bed. But yeah, they haven't been getting busy. So yeah, I wasn't thinking about William in particular, just like logistics of that.
Well, you like the bald ones.
I
I'll
do.
say it again.
I would sleep with William.
Ooh.
I would. My standards. He's not liberal enough for me, though. And he doesn't wear a mask. So
He just seems so angry all the time. He just seems
he
like
does.
so stunted and gross.
Looks wise, he's not a bad looking guy, though. Okay, so speaking of couples, royal couples who are not living together, Princess Charlene of Monaco has been in South Africa since mid-May, so almost 2 months now that we know about. And she's been married to Prince Albert for 10 years. They have twins together, Gabriella and Jacques, and they're 6. Yeah, so she's been away for quite some time. And this happened after she got real drastic haircuts. Like she got baby bangs and a really severe page boy. And then after that, she got half her head shaved and even shorter bangs.
Yeah, I mean, there were a series of cry for help
Haircuts.
and it was just ridiculous. But what's funny about no one knows exactly when Charlene went to South Africa is that she hadn't been seen in Monaco since January. And we just kind of take it on faith that she was in or around Monaco between January and May. And then May is the first time that people started saying, hey, where's Charlene? Isn't she supposed to show up to the Grand Prix? And that's when the Prince's Palace had to release the statement saying, actually, she's in South Africa. She's really super sick, you guys.
And she did some charity work in South Africa with endangered rhinos.
Right. That was the cover story.
Yeah.
In mid-May, she was in South Africa to do conservation work. And at some point during that trip, she got super sick. She had to be hospitalized, and she's been allegedly hospitalized ever since.
They don't say she's been hospitalized. They say she's had ENT issues and had to have multiple procedures for that.
At first, they did say hospitalized.
Okay.
And then the excuse for why she was missing the July 1st wedding anniversary was that she had just gotten out of another surgery. So I guess I just kind of assumed that she was being hospitalized.
She's still in there. Yeah. You know better than I do. I was just trying to read it and catch up. And then, but all this is happening. Her husband had another paternity claim at the end of December for a child conceived in 2005, which was when he was dating Charlene. I don't know how many paternity claims he has, but there's a couple more other than that, aren't there?
I mean, some of them are established. He's the established father of at least 2 children. I think some of them are adults now.
Oh, wow.
And then there are all of these paternity claims that pop up, and some of them disappear, and then some of them have, longer trials or civil suits. And the fact that all of this has been happening around their 10th wedding anniversary is just fascinating on so many levels, because 10 years ago, she tried to escape.
Yeah.
She fled Monaco. She was in France, and Prince Albert's goons basically confiscated her passport and forced her to come back to Monaco.
I thought that those rumors were exaggerated, but then after Duchess Meghan told her story about how they took her passport and everything, I was like, oh, that totally happened to Charlene.
I mean, I think it was even worse for Charlene. In the moment of trying to escape and them making her come back to Monaco, basically. Really, they forced her to come back. I mean, she was just sobbing during her actual wedding service in the church, and he couldn't care less. And I don't know, people always say that they had some sort of deal that she would just provide him with a legitimate heir and then she would be free.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's the case, but if she did escape which it's looking like she did. If she did escape, then she left her kids behind, which is not that uncommon.
But the thing is, she couldn't take her kids because of international custody laws. And she knew that she had to choose, and it was probably a really tough decision for her if she made that decision. We don't know the deal yet.
Right. And for what it's worth, I go back and forth about whether or not I think Albert is truly a terrible person. I think he's a terrible husband, but I also think he loves his kids, or his legitimate kids.
So she issued a statement saying that she misses him and her children, and has been instructed by her medical team that I could not return home for my 10th wedding anniversary. Albert is my rock and strength, and without his love and support, I would not have been able to get through this painful time. It's a little laying it on thick, but...
Like almost like someone is being held for ransom, basically.
Somebody wrote that for her.
Yeah, and it's also very interesting that she's writing all of these statements in English.
Oh.
The language of Monaco is French.
But she speaks English, and she's not really speaking French, right?
Right. But it feels like it's more to an English-speaking audience.
Oh, okay. We'll see what happens with her. Oh, I have a mailing list sign up that has the top 8 stories about Princess Charlene's escape. So I'll put that in the links to this post if you want to sign up for our mailing list. You can get those stories. So let's talk about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. They did their first paparazzi stroll together. They're in the Hamptons, and they were out wearing matching beige outfits. And we had access to the photos, which means that multiple paparazzi agencies were there.
Right. It meant that it was like a genuine stroll of like, let's walk in front of all these cameras. Yeah. They were trying to look loved up, but not so forced about it. It wasn't like the Jenny from the Block video. It was just 2 middle-aged people strolling down a Hamptons road. They weren't matching outfits. They were coordinated outfits. And she obviously created a Hamptons color wheel of like soft creams and beiges.
It matches her couch and her candles and pillows, because it's very beachy. You know, it's that off-white.
Yep.
Look.
It has to be Hampton chic of beige, sand, cream.
Oh, man. You wrote that she's styling him, and you can see that in what he's wearing when he's with her.
Well, and everything about him is more groomed now. His beard is freshly groomed, a little bit trimmed. He looks like he got a much better haircut. She gave him a facial, too. His skin is glowing.
She had her people visit him at her house. They probably ambushed him. And then we got a story in People magazine with insider quotes about them. Like, they've been doing this all along. It's ridiculous. And they said their relationship is very strong. They're beyond happy. And Ben is slowly getting to know Jennifer's kids. And his son is also spending time with Jennifer and her kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before they went to the Hamptons, Jen and Ben, they went to Universal Studios with her twins and Samuel, his son Samuel.
Yeah.
And like everyone seemed to be getting along. I think Samuel's probably a few years younger.
Yeah.
But like everyone seemed fine. I think it'll be different and interesting when his older girls meet Jennifer Lopez.
And her kids, yeah. So there's also a story in Us magazine that practically says that they're going to get engaged. And their source claimed they're fully committed to taking the next steps and spending the rest of their lives together. And it feels like they've been together again for years, not months. As far as they're both concerned, they're just blessed to have found each other and discovered true love, which most people can only ever dream about. I mean, Us could be just making shit up, but that's precious. It really is.
It's very Jennifer Lopez. All of this shit is coming from her people. I don't think Ben is running this kind of...
No, Ben is the common denominator because he runs shit about this with whichever woman he's with. He did this with Ana de Armas, too. He did.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it could be Jen, but I'm telling you that Ben does it, too. So
I mean... Yeah. I was just going to say, like, these two, I mean, they're so much fun together.
They are. They're going to implode. But so we talked about J-Lo and Ben on Zoom. We talked about this June 16th. And I had saved this excerpt for the one where I screwed up and left my webcam plugged in. but I wanted to play it, so.
Yeah, I think J-Lo thinks this is for the long haul, but he's not a long haul type. He's going to fuck it up like he always does.
Yeah, he's going to sabotage it like he always does.
Give it a year. He goes in thinking he's going to be long haul. And then he, like you say, he self-destructs. He's someone who just needs to go to therapy and stay in therapy. Don't just do rehab for a little bit. Go to therapy. Long term.
I think you're right. He goes into it. He wants to make it for the long haul. He's going to self-sabotage, but J-Lo is willing to pick up the pieces like Jennifer Garner did. I definitely believe there's going to be an engagement. I don't know if they'll actually go through the ceremony of getting married. They are over the moon about being back together again. If J-Lo was willing to clean up his shit, then they're going to be together for a long time.
And she is, because she likes to be needed. The only thing is just don't humiliate her. Just don't humiliate her.
Mother, and she loves to be the control one. So she dresses him. They go to the gym. He eats right. She'll let him have his little gambling, but don't fuck up with the hard drugs. And if he stays in line and she'll help keep him there, they're in it for the long haul.
I'm loving it. I'm like, it's like juicy. It's like vintage, retro. It's taking me back, but it's the future. I'm loving it. I hope they keep it going for a while.
So yeah, Amira loves it. She's like you. And Zakiya is saying that Jen is going to mother Ben and, clean up his shit.
I don't think Jen is like into that. I don't think she needs to mother him. I think she loves to be love bombed. She loves demonstrative men. And that's what Ben is giving her.
For now.
She needs to be adored.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll take care of Ben, but it's not like mothering him. I'm not going to analyze it. It's not going to last that long. All I know is that I enjoy it. I'm having fun with them.
Yeah. Yeah. They're fun. Okay, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comment of the week is on the link post with Marion Cotillard at Cannes. She had on bike shorts. It was all Chanel, but she had on bike shorts with like this sleeveless alphabet print dickie and these black and white shoes that were kind of like Oxfords, but with the top folded over. They were just very ugly.
I think they were supposed to be booties, but with like folded over booties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they were just terrible shoes.
Yeah, the whole outfit sucked. It was hard to choose the worst part.
And she's so beautiful, like she could wear anything. So Susan Reagan wrote, "Geez, they must have paid her to wear that ugly mess. I look better going to my local store in sweats."
Well, what was crazy was like how many fashion people and fashion bloggers were like, "Oh my God, Marion just looks amazing." No, she doesn't. Like,
no. From the neck up, she did. She's a beautiful woman, but that's about it.
Not even. Her hair looked terrible. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but yeah, her hair
it's kind of flat.
Everything was a mess. I wish Marion would she would go with different designers. Like, I think she should go more for Dior rather than Chanel. Anyway.
Yeah, Dior is more glam.
It would suit her look and her body a lot better.
She would look good in Gucci, too.
Yeah, she would probably think that was tacky, though. She's so, French.
Yeah, true.
My comment of the week was from, the Prince Philip wouldn't want the Queen to sit around mourning like Queen Victoria. The Queen was out at the Royal Windsor Horse Show. She looked like she was having the time of her life. She was so happy. She was smiling at everyone. She was around horses. She was getting some gossip from her friends. It was just like a really nice day. And so that's what they were saying. It was like, Prince Philip would have wanted her to be like this. No one wants her to sit around mourning. Prince Philip wants this. And so Avia wrote, "Can't wait to find out what happens on next week's episode of What Philip Would Have Wanted. Liz looks great, though."
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week, where people saying that their dead relatives...
The Countess of Wessex saying, she's only being a fame whore right now because that's what Philip would have wanted.
Philip would have wanted her to step into the spotlight now and talk about him.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what like Prince Charles thinks Prince Philip would have wanted. Because that will be epic.
Prince William should do it too. Philip would have wanted him to become king next. No, Kate. He would have wanted Kate to be...
Kate. Yeah, Kate will definitely use that argument. Prince Philip would have wanted her to be queen.
Yeah. Just like her uncle wants her to be queen.
Oh, God. Uncle Gary.
Yeah.
He disappeared rather quickly. He was shoved back under the rock.
He's like Patrick Star, except not good-natured. All right, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.